What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 67 of Value Town. I'm ChanManV, and joining me, of course, is Noxious and Ray. How's it going, buddy? Ray, you having a good week?
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's going good.
Cool. All right. Noxious? Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right. I see that. I never noticed that collection you have in the background. You look like a Blizzard employee. What is all that stuff, man?
It's Final Fantasy stuff, so I'm a trader to Blizzard. I've got one like Final Fantasy, Warcraft stuff, and it's like Lady Vosh figurine from. I don't know. I took to that like 6 months ago, and I haven't bought anything since. So yeah,
It's only been 6 months. Wow.
not too big on the figurine stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't plan to buy much more of it.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, we've got a guest today. As you can see, SuperJJ. How you doing, buddy? One of the top players we've got right now.
No, I'm doing good. Having a good evening, joining with you guys, of course.
Great. Well, I can't wait to have you join our card discussion. Lots of new cards announced this last episode. I think 13 we have today, so not quite as many as last week because we had 2 weeks worth, but definitely plenty to talk about. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Why don't we start out with just our week in Hearthstone? This is kind of the segment we just talk about, just whatever we've been doing, streaming, playing Brawl, whatever. Noxious, you want to start us off?
Yeah. Again, I feel like I just don't play much Hearthstone. My week has basically been spent getting excited about the new cards, more so than play the game. To be frank with you, I've played a little bit of Murloc Priest, the old school Confused Murloc Priest, which surprisingly makes Confused a really OP Savage Roar. Like, you would be surprised, but there's a day where a deck like that, not maybe Murloc, but something like it, will just seem really ridiculous to all of us. It's not there yet, but I'm sure eventually Confused will just be completely retarded. So it's kind of cool.
Confuse Murloc Priest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, okay, maybe
I don't
not
think I've
Confused
ever done
Murloc
that.
will be good, but that was fun.
I don't
It's
think
good.
I've ever done that one.
Ish. Take it with a grain of salt, like everything we do here.
I've done the pseudo, Divine Spirit Inner Fire with Confuse, but never Murloc,
Sure.
that's for sure. Reynad, how about you, man? How's your week been?
Oh, it's been good. Just doing some streaming and stuff, and just the usual. I don't know. Anytime I'm home, it's kind of the same stuff. It's
Yeah.
some streaming and a lot of answering emails and all the boring team stuff. But yeah,
Got to do it. You're a busy guy, so when things start picking up, man, you're barely ever home, right?
yeah. I got a few events coming up. It's gonna be PAX East and then DreamHack Austin. And
Yeah.
between the two, there's a tournament in Korea. So we'll see.
Gosh,
Be the first
cool.
one I play in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't really wanted to play tournaments much, just because I don't have time to like learn the meta or anything. But this one was like South Korea, so just as an excuse to visit, I guess.
So
That's a really good thing.
it's
though,
it's a pretty city, that's for sure. And I know everybody goes. I haven't been. Who's been here? Who's been to Seoul here?
Not me. My son
not
did,
bad.
I'm pretty sure.
Ray, you've been, right? Once?
No, I've never been before.
Never? Oh, okay. I thought you went.
That's why
to
I'm
one of those.
going. Like, otherwise, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that should be an awesome experience. Which tournament is it? Like, who's hosting that one?
OGN. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say. I don't know if it's announced or
okay.
anything.
Okay. All right. OGN. Well, if it is OGN, then that should be pretty sweet because they always have a nice setup there. They do great productions there. SuperJJ, what you been doing besides Dark Souls?
Actually, it seems like I'm playing Dark Souls, but yeah, I have actually a lot to prepare for tournaments. This evening, I spent preparing for a tournament, and there are like some online invitationals, and I have like some LANs coming up, and I'm also going to DreamHack Austin and PAX East, so not that much of free time, I guess.
All right.
But
well,
still,
just a little bit of everything, just a little bit of practicing, a little bit getting ready for some travel too.
for standard,
Yeah.
for standard, I'm like super excited for tryharding. Yeah, it will be a good one.
That'll be fun, I think. Like, after the amount of time we've been kind of waiting for all those new cards to come out, like, I just want to see what maybe the nerfs will bring, because that's, I think, what everybody's waiting for at this point. It's kind of the unspoken, please give this to us, like, right now, because right now all those cards mean very little without everything kind of mapped out.
Yeah, I think we're to the point where
nerf-wise.
we've seen enough cards that we need to find out what the changes to basic and classic are now.
Yeah.
Just to to really complete the formula, like you're saying. Hopefully that'll happen soon. I mean, the next thing I wanted to talk about is just, I guess, rumored release date, which is April 26th. You know, people coming up with all kinds of reason they're thinking this is a release date. I don't know. What do you guys think? Legitimate date? You think this
Makes sense.
People are correct with their assumptions here?
Yeah, seems correct. Like we have no reason to make very. I think 2026 seems fine. They told also like end of the month.
Yeah,
if we want to patch there,
it's definitely within the realm of late April, early May, like they were saying originally. But that's only 3 weeks away. So 3 more weeks of card reveals, and I would think we would find out changes. I mean, I'd hope a week before.
Probably
maybe
just
they're
the same
literally
day,
not
man.
going to
like
tell
the
us
day
anything.
before, or yeah. I don't think they'll tell us anything.
Okay.
They seem adamant not to give us the opportunity to bitch about the card that's getting nerfed for the week that we lose to it before it gets nerfed.
Yeah,
and it kind of makes sense, really. Like the satisfaction level of the player base would dip like at an all-time low if we had that information and lost. So I can totally get behind that decision.
All right, I don't know.
That's
Ray,
what I'm always doing, right?
Yeah. I don't know, Ray, what do you think about that? Just not finding out until like the release.
It's a little bit annoying. I don't know. I feel kind of obligated to spend more. I mean, like I want to have every golden card at some point, so I already spend like too much money on Hearthstone. But I feel even more obligated to spend like lots of money around the Old Gods release because they're waiting that long to announce the like nerfs because you want to open some Old Gods so that because you're gonna it's just better to get like the commons through opening packs and stuff than grafting them, obviously. But for the legendaries and epics and the stuff you're unlikely to open, it's better to just crack a bunch of classic packs. Like it's way better to buy classic packs than anything else.
Oh, I
like,
see.
The cards are gonna disenchant for full value.
I see.
So,
wow, crafting meta right here. That's okay. That's cool. That's a good reason. That's actually a good reason. Hopefully we will find out very, very soon. And Noxious is supposed to have a card too. Ray obviously had his card, and be curious to see which card you get, Nox. I'm hopefully
probably
some kind of
janky
new
comment
text
that does nothing.
No,
you haven't seen it.
Which one?
I don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I found it like a few days before, so I mean it's one of those. I don't know about you, Ray. Did they tell you your card like a few days?
Mine was a few days before.
Yeah. So I think that's just their general policy. You'll probably find out soon.
Yep.
All right. Next topic I wanted to cover just really quickly before we get into cards is the whole Chinese or the whole win trading fiasco that's going in China. We didn't get a chance to touch on it when Nigel first came out with his article because I believe we were like in between weeks or there was an episode that we missed. But Niger did come out with a very investigative piece, a little bit of an expose of what's going on in terms of the win trading in China. And, he had a lot of screenshots from chats, involving lots of popular streamers and notable players from big teams there. And he basically was giving the lowdown on it. He had a follow-up article this week, which you can actually see on Reddit. It might even been today that he actually published it, that kind of follows up on just what's happened since. For the most part, a couple of these players have been banned. I think 17 players altogether were banned by Blizzard. And, we're starting to see, I guess, the public over there starting to... turn on, because this win trading was kind of an accepted thing, like in that culture. And now I feel like they're starting to kind of call these people out and, trying to, get these people, I wouldn't say removed from the community, but it's definitely starting to be frowned upon now in China. So I wanted to get your thoughts on just the general just win trading. We've had, a few instances of it here in the Western scene, and we actually have a success story. I mean, like a success story where Nyman was obviously banned for a year, and then he came back and won the European. So that's actually a cool story of somebody coming back from that. But wanted to get your thoughts just generally on win trading. Start with you, SuperJJ, your guest. Any thoughts on the whole Chinese thing?
I actually read the article. I think it's like a really terrible thing because for this people who are not included, they're like, how do you break in if there's really like that big of a circle? Like it has to be Blizzard doing something where like banning people, and not even ban it might be fair, because I know how hard it is. Like if there's like a really big hill to climb to get top 100, and even then it's like there's so much variance on ladder, like it's almost impossible to get in. But I really hope they're doing something there. But I heard like Blizzard is not watching too close at the Chinese ladder system. They're more like about the European one and the NA one. So I think it's a really terrible thing. I was also really mad when I heard like Neyman was doing it, or some other players, right? It's just something like I can't accept. Like really, like these cheaters, like how can you take them serious? I mean, Neyman did kind of a different thing. Like everybody knew he's good, and he just built a new account and just rocked it again, right? He did it without cheating, and it's fine for me.
Okay,
sure. I mean, they've addressed this a little bit, right, with the amount of points they give for the like being highly ranked. So it helps a little bit that they are kind of lowering the reward for being high ranked. But again, it goes back to the ladder system not being exactly what we want it to be. So you feel this kind of like a dead horse. We're beating over and over and over, making the ladder system what it is. So I don't know. Like it's hard to see a world in which you wouldn't have win traders. Like sure, you can try to monitor them, but at some like it's happened all the time in every single game where you have a competitive ranking system that people can get into. Like you kind of a cartel in the top ranks. It's I don't know. So I was expecting it. I'm not like surprised. I just think it sucks that it's happening again and again and again. And really, there's no good way to handle it unless you spend like a countless amount of man hours on this crap, just trying to single out people. So
yeah, extremely expensive, and that was definitely talked about in the article too. But you're suggesting that the ladder is the issue, and what's interesting is that when the system in the HCT was announced, taking, or just in general, just World Championship was announced even like 2 years ago, just taking points from how you finished in the ladder was one of the biggest positives, I think, about it. Just allowing anybody that's a ladder warrior or whatever to be able to participate in the main storyline of Hearthstone competitive scene. So you're saying that the ladder is just like maybe we shouldn't be using points there, or like because of things like win trading? I mean, that'd be a shame if that was.
No, I mean it's done in a while. It's just that it would be nicer to have more qualified tournaments as a way to, I guess, get exposure more so than just the ladder climb. But then you make an entire game mode, kind of irrelevant. It's like in WoW, I think, right? Like if you look at WoW, it's kind of how I'd like it to see to be played.
Okay.
I personally feel like there was never more interest in competitive Hearthstone than when ladder was irrelevant.
Yeah.
When the tournaments got the better viewership, it's when the community followed it more. You saw like more Reddit posts about tournament results and stuff. People like now it's a tournament happens, just nobody cares. Like some people will watch it. It'll hit 20, 30, 40K if it's Blizzard. But people just don't like, there's not as much discussion about it as there used to be. And a lot of that is, I don't know, like the ladder system is just super volatile, and it's hard to say that somebody that finishes like top 10 is a better player than somebody that finishes like between 200 and 300. I would argue it's like impossible to argue that. So you have to like, I mean, you can compare them on other metrics, but yeah, like ladder itself, if I see a player that's ranked 250 and I see a player that's ranked 10, I'm not going to assume that one's better than the other either way.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like, yeah, I think it'd be better if they just did qualifier tournaments only, like the same way that Magic does, where you play, a qualifier that directly gets you a slot in stuff, or it qualifies you for another qualifier, and you just keep going through these tournaments. Because at the end of the day, like ladder alone is like most of the time not going to be enough to get you into the thing unless you double. Right, unless you like finish top 100 twice or something. So I think it would, either way, to win a tournament, you're going to need tournament experience, right? Nobody's going to just play ladder to qualify and then like
get there,
all their
win.
tournament experience.
Well, the biggest issue is it's harder to manipulate too, like the tournaments versus the ladder.
Yeah, so it's just better to, I think, just do tournaments probably. But I don't know. I like the idea of ladder mattering. It's just I don't like the idea of this ladder system mattering, because this ladder system's awful. Anything that uses ELO.
I actually had a big discussion with that about with Life Coach. Like maybe if Life Coach not trying anymore on ladder, because he says like the ladder system is like not rewarding at all. Like like even like the fact that you start from rank 16 and just grind it down when you just have the last days counting, like it's just like it's not rewarding at all for like high level players. It's like just a super huge grind, and when you have to hit this good run and when you just camp it down, it's like super stupid.
Yeah, pretty much. So it kind of goes back to stuff we've talked about before. So it's really just the same old argument coming back. But like it's a systemic issue, right? Like from my perspective, the reason we have win traders is because that type of winning is incentivized. Like there's games where you don't even have that ladder system, and people will fix games, right? So like it depends on the game you have, but there's always going to be kind of a subset of the population that tries to game the rankings. However that happens. Yeah, like we shouldn't be surprised that it happens. We should be outraged, maybe that like we should try to punish it. Not necessarily punish it, but find a way to solve the problem so it can't even occur. But I don't see how you can fix that systematically, like within the game, unless you make all the incentive of ladder go away completely. Besides maybe like chests and getting golden card backs. Hell if I know. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. It's just like win trading, like no matter how much we police it, it's going to happen. It's just so hard. It's so hard to prevent it from happening. And I mean, even some people don't even realize they're doing it. Sometimes end up doing it. But the qualifiers, I think Reynad's suggestion is good. Just at least for the championship and just having that be the storyline. I think that's actually probably the best thing. But it's just like I've always been a huge fan of just having, like possibly, these folks that aren't, super experienced with tournament and having that kind of storyline. But that's a perfect world scenario, like in a vacuum when the ladder's, really, really great and perfect and we can do that. But unfortunately, the world's not like that. And what's crazy about the Chinese thing is that it's just more accepted. You know what I mean? The win trading. It's one thing to okay, like we're like, okay, like it's going to happen. It's kind of one of these things where, it's just like we have hackers, hacking other games too, right? And things like that. But it's a lot more accepted, it feels like, in that, just in that culture, just that side of the world. And much bigger of an issue for Blizzard, I feel like, over there. And there's a lot more people too. It was just like 10,000, I think 10,000 out of, or 20,000 out of 30,000 legends. They I think was the estimate in that article, saying that we're actually not our win trading legend players. That's a lot. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So hopefully they can eliminate that, and that can just, at least from a culture standpoint, not be such a big deal. There's businesses too, right? We've seen businesses too, like in WoW and here, or just like these types of boosting businesses in different games.
Yeah, well, of course, it'll happen every time. They have forums where people offer to boost you or whatever. So.
Yeah.
And some people make a living out of it, so that doesn't help either.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on from all this drama and let's talk about some cards here. We've had 13 cards announced since our last show last week, and we've had one of another old god announced here, Yasharaj. Is that right? That's how you pronounce it, right? Yasharaj?
Yeah.
Somebody was giving me the pronunciation.
Yasharaj. Right. Everybody's kind of bitching at me for reading it the way it's written out, and I'm like, okay, thanks for that.
Okay, Yasharaj.
Like Yasharaj or something like that. Yeah.
Why is it Aj? There's nothing between R and J.
That's what I said too, but then people were telling me it was
Raj. It's a guttural sound that your human tongue cannot possibly pronounce properly, and it's written out like some fucking old god language from buttfuck nowhere. So it's kind of just people know that.
Yeah. Luckily, we won't have to say that name very often.
No, man. Rich, why don't you start us off? Well, actually, let me describe it for all our audio listeners. 10 mana, 10/10 body. At the end of your turn, put a minion from your deck into the battlefield. Ray, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, it's a 10 mana card. I don't know. I mean, it can be strong if it's cheated into play, but unless there's more cards like Ancestor's Call type of things that get made, this probably won't see play. There's a lot of obscenely big minions in Magic, for example, and they do see play, but they're always cheated into play with other cards. So if there's more effects that let us do that, this might see play, but I don't think people are gonna hard cast this and win that way ever. So
okay. Noxious?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the hard casting part is right. Like, it's too expensive to play for 10 mana, so you'll probably have to try to play it on, like, cheat it out. Now, we saw, like, the new blood stuff come out, so it's kind of, you'll probably see gimmick decks try to go, like, Alarmo Bot, Conceal, and try to get his charge out, right? Like, just some like, janky way to pull him off.
Yeah.
Or even jankier, you go, like, Isharge, Prep, Gang Up, and he just brings himself out, and that's the only minion you play. And then you just get another charge, and then if somehow one of them lives, then you get the other two out of the deck. But like, it's gonna have to be very janky, I think, to be good.
SuperJJ?
I had so much problem like with evaluating, especially the big drops lately, because there's like these rumors, not just rumors, like BGH getting nerfed, right? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
First of all, first I need to know that. And then the first card, which I compared, this one was like Varian Rin. I think these are like is how playable is Varian. Varian is straight up better, and not even he sees play at the moment. Like, I don't think this card will see too much play by like how it is now.
Yeah, I could see maybe being in an Aviana deck or something like that, where you can get it, you can get it down right with the Aviana play, and or innervate with like two others too, right? And you're just adding another big one. It's just like crazy.
Aviana Druid is like super amazing. You just
it's
play
fun.
Aviana.
Yeah.
Well, I think that might be a good thing to play, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They did add a new wild growth effect to the game, so I mean,
That's
maybe
true.
we have like a
A
critical
really
mass.
good one, even, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna talk about that one too. That one's really good. Okay, so this is a cool looking card at least, but we'll see if it gets some play. All right, next up.
Yeah, like I just give me a sec. Like,
Okay, sure.
I want to talk about a charge just like one last time.
Okay.
You're mentioning ramp, but like if you play with Aviana, like we've had a lot of pipe dreams with Aviana, of course. Astral Communion being one of them, of course.
Yeah.
Like I have to wonder if the metagame is actually slower and Faceless comes back. Like that card is charged and Aviana kind of like that kind of deck is just ridiculous.
You know what?
I can't help but think that Faceless is really scary. Now that I think of it more.
Yeah, you pretty much just dump your hand. Like you almost dump your hand anyways with Aviana Innervade, but like this would legitimately dump your hand. Yeah, that's true. I don't think I've played too much Faceless like on the Aviana turn, so that's cool. All right, next up we've got two non-class cards. First is a 6 mana drop, 7. Actually, we'll start with this one. 6 mana, 7 attacks, 6 health. Name is Scram Cultus. It's battle cry. Give your Cthulhu +2/+2 wherever it is. Noxious, you want to start us off?
Sure. Cthulhu decks have a 6 drop, and no one else will play that. And if BGH doesn't change, then not even Cthulhu decks will play that. But it's fun to think about the fact that if BGH is nerfed, this is actually somewhat playable in a really weird way. Even though it's not very good, it might find kind of a home as a filler curve. Thing is, like when you have the other cultist, it brings out Cthulhu in your hand. You've got this guy. Like it's tough to see why you'd play this unless you really need a stat boost.
Okay, SuperJ.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, we need to know like how many Kifun buff we need until we make like mathematically Kifun like effective. And second of all, like that's true, right? Like, how many do we need? Like, is he making the cut? And second of all, like the BGH, right? Like, with this amount of 7 attack minions, like you have to start assuming that this card is getting nerfed. Like, it's just a joke. Like, how can you start evaluating but not knowing the nerfs yet? That's kind of sad for me. I was a bit upset about that.
Well, you guys mentioned BGH. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I understand everybody talking about BGH, but after a while, I'm just like, I really get turned off when people's first response to all these cards is, oh, it's BGHable. And the thing is that this is like a 6 drop, and if they're running Cthulhu, you don't want to run it. You don't want to use BGH, right, on anybody but Cthulhu. So
either you're dead to Cthulhu, but like you don't need the removal for Cthulhu. Either he comes down and you're already
but then you're just dead, yeah.
or you win before that point.
I guess
it's kind of how
I guess my point is my point is that it's just that even we see it now. People won 1 BGH, but there are like many or 3 or 4 targets that are BGHable. So I mean, once that's done, then you get full value from a lot of these, right?
No, it's just about the first and second. The first BGH is not about. It's a tempo swing. It gives you. It's like insane.
Yeah,
just wins you the game.
It's not where you get it. Right?
Yeah. Ray?
Reynad, I think differently. Yeah.
I mean, even if BGH wasn't a card in the game, these are still worse stats than Boulder
Yeah.
Fist,
Yeah.
and
Agreed.
I just don't think it'll ever make the cut. Because the other ones are just better, honestly. So yeah, I think like maybe in Arena you take it sometimes, but even there it's kind of weak. It's overall one of the worst cards in the set, just because there's like very few scenarios where it'll ever get played, even in niche decks.
Mhm.
It's just kind of like outright bad. So yeah, I don't expect to see much of it even in Cthulhu decks.
Yeah, this feels like a starter deck type of card. Since Cthulhu is
Yeah.
is the starter deck going to be the new starter deck for anybody that buys these packs. Good for them, definitely good for them. Let's see, number 6, or sorry, 6 mana, 4 attack, 6 health, Ancient Harbinger. This is an epic card, and at the start of your turn, put a 10 cost minion from your deck into your hand. And the first thought is Old Gods, just popping into your hand. Is this a good card, SuperJJ?
What does this card remind? It reminds like of on Magic, right? Like there are always these cards when you get your finishers into your hand.
Mm-hmm.
What do I think of this card? Stats wise, bad, of course, for the mana, right? Like, so we have to make the card text good. Yeah, that's like how it is. Like, which 10 mana card is worth getting into your hand, right? This is the question. Like, it will be one of the old gods. I can't see this. I can't really hardly evaluate it yet because how strong will the old god effect be, or the 10 mana card? Like the as I see it now, it's not quite strong enough because like 6 mana 4/6 is like Emperor stats, but the 4 attack is quite weaker. So it's like mediocre to bad, I would say.
Okay. Like with Cthulhu, I mean, you can make an argument it's worse to have him come out earlier, right? Because he's not going to be as buffed up. So
but until you can play Cthulhu, like you're already at turn 10, you're so deep into your deck already. Thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you get Cthulhu early; you still get buffed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. I guess that's true. Like
I also forgot
subsequently.
the Scarum cultist guy, the card we talked about before. He won't be in Arena actually because he's Cthulhu related.
Mhm.
So
Right.
Oh, that's right.
expected he's weak. But anyway, Harbinger guy is okay. He's you can play him in Astral Communion or something because getting Deathwing in that deck is really important.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really think he's quite strong enough to see play because he's got to live a whole turn, and if you can get your 4/6 to live for an entire turn, you're kind of ahead already. I think you're going to be better off just playing like card draw to get your 10 cost guy because it's going to be you're going to draw through like at least half your deck by the time you can even cast the 10 mana card. So it doesn't matter if you have it up to that point. So if you just play card draw instead of this guy, then like a Nourish will draw like a quarter of your deck at that point. So Nourish gives you a 25% chance of hitting Cthulhu anyway. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think just card draw is probably a better choice than this card, but it's definitely interesting if they print like combo oriented 10 mana cards that you really need to get later on. So yeah,
it'd been cool if it was Paladin, with, like something with Anyfin or that sort of thing. I like the text though. I definitely like the searching text. Noxious, how about you?
Yeah, like I don't know, cause like initially my thought was that they would make like a tutor or I guess a fetch effect for those of you who don't play MTG, like the ability to fetch a card from your deck, like Sense Demons. Right now, it's not like Sense
Right.
Demons isn't even played because you really almost don't need to pay 3 mana to draw 2 cards as a warlock. But if there's ever combo demons that you need, then that might be a way to kind of get to them. And I was looking at this kind of the same way. The effect is extremely powerful given that you need it and you're able to cast it. But the way that Hearthstone pans out, like getting to turn 10 is already difficult enough given a very refined metagame, very often at least. And when I look at something like this, I'm thinking, well, if I play it, they just kill me outright if it's a very aggressive meta, or if it's mid-range, it dies before anything happens. So it's kind of a 4/6 with taunt for 6 mana, which is kind of crappy. But on the flip side, I look at Ramp Druid and I think to myself, well, if I got Wild Growth and the Mire Keeper, then that means on 4 I play Mire, or even on 3 if I have Wild Growth, and then on 6 or even on turn 4, assuming I've curved Wild Growth into Keeper perfectly, and then I hit the Harbinger, then I can guarantee my 10 drop. But again, it's like the Astral Communion deck would use it better than just typical ramp, maybe.
Right.
So
you'd rather just play Cairn, I think, anyway. Like if you're
probably,
gonna play something
that's the
turn
issue.
4.
Yeah, it's just kind of awkward overall. Like, it's just really tough to justify including anywhere. I think I would have preferred a battle cry, move your old god, or like move an old god in your deck or legendary, like 5 cards towards the top. Like, I would have rather just moved the old god on battle cry near the top instead of just drawing it out, but you have to wait a turn.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got a mage card. It's a 5 mana. It's a spell. Kabbalist's Tome. Add 3 random mage spells to your hand. And we've got some mage decks that do require a lot of draw, and especially draw into damage. So is this card going to be, I guess, conducive to that? Something like a freeze mage? Reynad?
I think it'll be not really for freeze mage, but it'll be pretty good in like grindy control mage decks, which definitely might be an archetype if all the pieces are there after the rotation. Like, we lose duplicate, but we have things like Conjurer and Kabbalist's Tome and just like ways to make extra cards that other decks don't really have access to. So I mean, we'll see if that kind of strategy can really be justified when you can just play like one Elise instead. But
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting. Like, if you roll another Kabbalist's Tome off of this, you kind of already won Control Mirror just right there. And I don't know. I think it has a lot of potential actually, but it would be in decks that we're not used to seeing already. It'll definitely be in Reno, and it will be in Control Mage if that's actually a deck. But who knows?
All right, Noxious?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it for like a Discover Mage. It's kind of some people call it like Concede Mage because it's rightfully so right now. It doesn't quite perform as well as every other mage archetype. Like, I remember when Grinder Mage was a thing. Like, this is kind of where you play that. Like, you don't have Echo of Medivh, you lose Duplicate, but this is a really good way to get extra cards. The issue is, like, people look at this and they think, oh, cool, I get extra spells and tempo. And that's kind of like, I don't get that. Like, how do you justify paying 5 mana? Like, I'll play Conjurer before this, of course, in tempo, just about all day. I'll play a Drake in tempo over this. So if you play this, then you have to be playing a longer game. And I think Grinder Mage is the only one that can use it hyper effectively based on what we know exists. But you never know what comes up after the rotation. Maybe something crazy shows up and we're like, oh, never mind. This is playable everywhere.
Okay. SuperJJ?
It's like a super value card, right? And you don't even know what you get. You might end up getting like Arcane Missiles. It's like pretty hard, but if anything, you played in Mage, like, you have to consider like these Grinder Mage, like, they had a hard time with Druid combo and stuff, and we might just don't see that anymore. It's like it's a really big tempo loss. So it's like in Hearthstone, it's defined a lot about tempo, and this might just cost you a whole turn, and you have to you commit on going into fatigue when you play this card. Otherwise, you might just not get the value out of it. So it's like.
Yeah, you're right. It's a big tempo loss, but all the cards you get recover tempo, right? Almost all of them.
Most of them for me.
And stuff.
The mage spells are generally good. Like, if you're gonna have to randomly pick a spell, I think that class is probably the one that you want.
It's not just that they're good though; they kind of like make up for spending 5 mana doing nothing.
Pretty much, yeah.
You get freezes, AOE's, spot removal. Like, even Ice Barrier can help keep you alive, give you time to play your stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
I think it's interesting because you can play it with like Nova. You can play Nova in this and just probably find another freeze. If you have another one in your hand as insurance, then you can maybe even just stretch out the game a few more turns. So I could see Freeze Mage try to incorporate it, but it's gonna have. I don't know. I think you'll have to experiment with it to see how often it hits something you like.
Yeah.
It's like one of these nice experimental cards that you like to see on stream. You just try it out. It's like really cool to see, and you just see these random spells popping up. Really nice.
Yeah. This is a Tavern Brawl. Has Tavern Brawl written all over it instead of a bunch of portals like this. A bunch of Kabbalist's Tomes. All right, next up. Okay, here's the big dog. We've got probably the biggest minion that we've ever had, or at least without buffs and whatnot in the Ancient One. But we're going to talk about, I guess, what spawns it. First off, the 9 mana, 9/9 body, Blood of the Ancient One. It's an epic card. If you control 2 of these at the end of your turn, merge them into the Ancient One, which is a 9-drop 30/30 body. And he's the biggest guy that we've seen. So this has a kind of a Thaddeus, Stolic Fukin Thaddeus type of feel to it. And Any thoughts? Is this just only a fun card, or is this actually have some kind of crazy viability? Noxious?
Well, the little I've talked about it, I think the viability will come from something, and we've talked we talked about Aviana, Ishars, and whatnot. Like you could include this in there just because, not because it's optimal, but just because. It probably wouldn't be optimal, in fact. But like I could see myself trying out a really janky hyper control priest with double resurrect and this guy. But like I don't expect it to work.
Okay.
Like if you pull off, like you play one blood and it dies, and then you resurrect, and then you get two of them, and then you use the Herald Volage, then you get four of those, so you get two 30/30s.
Oh my god!
And that's like the only minions you play in your deck, literally the only thing. If that's it, then you can almost, if you get the fatigue, you can probably, if you don't get doomed or twisting nethered or double executed, somehow, then you might get away with it. But I'd rather keep 4 9/9s than two 30/30s, given the choice.
Wow, that is
That's like the only
amazing.
situation I could see this work.
JJ.
I mean, this is like the pure stats giant, right? Like, first of all, we have to ask ourselves, do we still have the beast on our sides? Or, like, but we have to ask that to us, right? And the first combination, like, the first thing I read there is at the end of your turn. That's a really good thing. Like you don't need to have it to live one turn. The first combo, of course, which we think of there is like with Faceless Manipulator. So we have a 14 mana 30/30. So we get for total 14 mana 30/30. Is that good enough? And is it not too slow? So it comes down on turn 10 as a finisher. Where do we see it? Do we see it maybe in Control Warrior, maybe in this Fatigue-ish mage style? It's a very interesting card. I can't say like how much of an effect it will have. Like you also make it needs to hit face afterwards. Like you commit a lot to that game plan. It's interesting. You can think a lot of it, I think.
Okay. Reynad? Can't wait for this.
When I first saw these cards spoiled, I saw them on Twitter, and I saw both of them side by side, and I thought the Ancient one was its own card because I saw it first. I thought it was just a card by itself, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Wow. It's not good, but it's interesting."
Right, right.
Wow.
So it was a 9 mana 30/30. The card's not good enough for constructed play, so that's kind of my opinion on it. But it would be interesting if you could just play a 30/30.
No. Emperor Charge, it would see play. Like somebody would do it.
You don't think it's good enough as a 30/30 at 9? Really, Ray?
No, it's bad. Like,
maybe play it in like Warrior combo. Maybe that's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Might as well play Frost Giant in that deck. Like it already exists. So
true.
Well, I mean, like because you can Emperor with Charge, right? Like I've tried Sea Kraken and Charge, but like this would work too. This would work better. But yeah, outside of like that kind of combo, like just a 9 mana 30/30 isn't good enough. It could be a 9 mana 70/70. It wouldn't be good enough. It's the same stats.
Right.
Like it's there's like no functional difference between like 15/15 and 1,000/1,000 really. Either it hits them and you win, or it doesn't and you lose. And most of the time, it's not going to hit. So I just don't really think like as far as competitive viability, it's bad, but it's definitely a fun card, right? Like if you can get this off on stream and actually get the bloods down, that'd be pretty fun. I don't know. It's good for like highlight reels. We'll see. I'm sure I'll get really like months down the line. I'll get really bored of the metagame, and then I'll try to make the Blood of the Ancient One deck work like one time. And
you retire it forever and be like, yo, that's it. I did it.
Yeah.
I'm done. With the Herald Volages too, like Noxious is talking about, get 2 of them.
I mean, if you give this guy Taunt, he's like a monster, right? Maybe in Handlock, when you maybe anyways play like Faceless or something. It's interesting. I don't know. I think you can tinker a lot with this card. It's like hard to evaluate like this and just exclude it out of Constructed. These are the cards which are interesting, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we've got Shaman cards. We've got lots of Shaman cards. We've got 3 of them, in fact. Shaman getting a lot of love this expansion so far, and seems like they're getting some interesting tools with the 3 that we're about to talk about. Let's start off with a 4-drop. 4 mana, 4 attack, 5 body, Master of Evolution. It's a rare card. Battlecry, transform a friendly minion into a random one that costs 1 more. All right, so a lot of people, first thoughts were like totems. First thoughts are like healing something. What do you think of this card? JJ, you want to start us off?
I mean, the 4 mana card is like super fucking good, right? Like you have like the 4 mana 4/5, which is like already like okay-ish stats wise, not good, but okay-ish, right? And then you get the 1 mana tempo gain as well. Like if you have what I like about this card is like it's board focused, right? And they always made the shaman like kind of facious, going face at the moment, right? So
Yep.
we have this card.
That's true.
I like it a lot. Like also like what you have to consider with this card. Like what 6 drops are there if I have a 5 drop on the board? Is it worth it percentage wise? Like it's super interesting. The card style, it's board oriented. I like it a lot. Definitely constructed worthy eventually. Like this card is like also pure tempo, right? Like get 1 mana, have a decent body.
Yeah, I mean, you get the upgrade too. It's like, you get a random one that costs 1 more. Also, it's not just an even transformation. Reynad, what about you?
Yeah, this card's nuts. Shaman definitely looks like the best class so far, from the cards they've shown, because it already had a lot of insane early game, because it has Tunnel Shock, Totem Golem, it has Hex, like the best spot removal, it has Fire Elemental, and they basically filled in all of the like the curve with all the unplayable cards you didn't want to play. Both of these minions here like are insane with Tuskar Totemic, so like that card gets way better. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Master Evolution is really strong. I don't think it's as good as the cost reduction one, but it's still good. The only other 4 drop you really want to play is Defender of Argus, so there's room for it. It curves off of Tuskar Totemic insanely well. It's, I don't know, good just to play on curve if you're not getting value. It's just a strong card, yeah.
Yeah, I have a nice solid 4. 4's not usually overloaded too. After the Totem Golem plays and whatever it is. Noxious, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I love it, but I hate it because I can already see the world in which it's gonna be like Paladin Shredder RNG on that 2 drop you get from a totem. Like you just have to hope it's not Doomsayer you're giving yourself. Like it's gonna be great, but if Shaman is very very powerful, then it's gonna feel like justice when they get greedy and get a totem to become a 2 drop, and then they get Doomsayer, then I'll be pretty happy. But overall, I still feel like I don't know the variance of it kind of bothers me, but I guess you don't get away from it, right? Like it's Hearthstone, so.
Does it work with Braun? Do you know?
With Braun, no, it won't, because like Recombobulator, it's like a different object
target,
after it was transformed. Yeah, different object once it transforms. So
Yeah, but
you can't like double upgrade it.
You get a double upgrade.
No,
Though.
no,
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't. Oh, okay.
No, you
Black
wouldn't.
one fizzles because the target's different.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, excited to play that card. I was going to play Paladin once it came out, but I'm quickly wanting to play Shaman with seeing all these cards. Next card.
Wait, what? It works with Brand. Blizz confirmed it. Are you
It
kidding?
works with Brand. Oh, so it
How does
does
that
give
make
you a
any
double
sense?
upgrade.
Holy
So
crap.
Recombobulator works
Holy
with Brand now,
shit.
or what?
That's a brand you
That
want to be
makes-
playing anyway.
That's so
What?
good.
Like the thing that worries me too
Shaman.
is like that 6-drop, right? Like the
Oh.
thing from below. You get that out early, and you turn it into a 7-drop baseline, and now it becomes an 8-drop.
Yeah, it's stupid
what?
too. Yeah, it works with the 2
Yeah,
mana
it's
5/5. Like,
Wait,
yeah.
so
It's so
wait.
retarded.
What happens? What happens if you have Brand out and then you transform Brand? Do you still get the 2? You still get the 2?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
imagine
because-
so because the
yeah,
power price
yeah.
already doubled.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness! Wow, that's
I'd
that
say
is
it's still
sick.
That sounds
come on.
retarded.
Yeah, that's pretty
You
disgusting.
need your
I
brand
don't.
to stay.
There's no way that works. There's no way that works, man. Like that can't work. There's no way that this is actually possible. Unless Recombobulator changed and they somehow changed the way like objects interact with each other, the targeting system would not be able to support that. Unless they literally doubled up the effect before it happened, which would be weird.
Yeah, it really just
Like,
depends
it
on how
does
it's executed. Yeah.
Transform.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's no way. I'd be surprised.
Okay, well, it's one of the first things I think a lot of people are going to try out too. Just play Brand on 3 and play this card and see what happens. All right, next one is a weapon. Okay, so this is I talked a little bit about this last week, just talking about Doomhammer. This is a 5-drop, which is the same as a Doomhammer. Twilight's Hammer, 4 damage, 2 durability, Death Rattle Summon, a 4/2 elemental. So does this foresee a change to Doomhammer? I mean, we don't see repeats on mana costs often, if not at all. Do we actually have a card that? Do we have a weapon that overlaps right now? If we do, we don't have very many of them. So
In Paladin, we have quite some, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Count
Paladin.
about
Monster
it.
and
Yeah,
Doghammer, but
yeah,
really.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, so this is definitely same cost as Doomhammer. Obviously, no overload. What do you guys? First off, think about this card, and secondly, do you think it means anything for Doomhammer? Right?
Well, I think Doomhammer might be one of the cards they would have to nerf potentially. Like, there's a lot of rogue cards, and then there's like Doomhammer that are like the cards we're not thinking of when it comes to the things Blizzard's going to nerf, but they might do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This card is nowhere near Doomhammer. This card sucks, I think, actually.
Yeah.
All the stuff in Standard has 5 health. It doesn't kill the 4-drop bubble guy, the 4/2 for 4. It
Servant.
the minion you get off of it trades with like a 1-drop late game. Like, it's not going to be hard to kill it. It's just, yeah, I think it's just not that good, but it's cool, I guess. I don't know. I like the idea behind it. It's just costed in a way that's very balanced, where one of the numbers would have needed to be just a little too good. Like, even if this card cost 4 mana, which I realize would be nuts, it wouldn't be like, it would be broken, but it wouldn't be too broken.
That's
Interesting.
True Silver. True Silver with
Yeah.
a minion.
But you lose the healing. Like, it matters.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Noxious.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel like Doomhammer is getting changed, but again, like there's no way I can probably like possibly know that yet, because this card just feels like I would maybe only play this in mid range. Like in aggro shaman, I don't think anything changes, but in mid range, it's like you want to curve into turn 6 with Fire Alley, and this lets you do it.
Yeah.
Whereas Doomhammer kind of forces you to play it very very late in the game, or at least be able to have a decent board before you play it. This also gives you the opportunity to hold it, kind of like Deathbite. And if they're Harrison it down, well, they lose Harrison because the 4/2 trades with it. So that's one of those funny things. I also like the fact that it gives you probably a 3-drop. I guess it's 3-drop with Master of Evolution. Maybe there's something to do with it. I don't know. Like it feels good to me, but it's not crazy OP. I think, but it's underrated. I'd say by a lot of people.
What other 5-drop would a shaman play right now? I mean,
Hazard Drake, Thunderbluff, Valiant.
Thunderbluff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Thunderbluff definitely is going to be better.
They've got
sure.
options. Yeah.
Okay.
Doomhammer.
JJ, I'm thinking Doomhammer is going to change mana cost. That's my thoughts. But
I mean, this card is just too slow, too bad, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with the 4 attack? Like, it doesn't even Doomhammer. Or like, also, like, you don't even get like the Rockbiter synergy, or you don't get like 2 hits or something. This card is also like, you get the body out, the 4/2, which is not even that good, because the 4/2 body means like, yeah, gets backstabbed or whatever. It's like it's very slow, and you don't really can achieve that much with the 4 attack. I don't think that card will see too much play.
okay,
Interesting.
yeah.
I feel like I'm the only one who likes this. Like, I actually think this card is playable, and very much so. But I want to be proven wrong on this one, because I feel like the card is like, it gets the Drake's down, which is also one of the better 5-drops that we have post rotation. So it hits that Blackwing Corruptor in Dragon decks, which should also see a bit of play. I don't know.
The type of card that would be playable if like some of the numbers are different, because the effect is good and the fact that it's the weapon is good. It's just like it needed to have like 5 attack, or the elemental needed to be like a 4/4.
Okay.
Or it needed to cost like 1 less, and maybe
I could see that.
Yeah, like some of the numbers are a little bit off. It's almost good enough, but like there's such a big difference between 4 and 5 damage that it just becomes really awkward.
I mean, the only thing we maybe have to consider that a lot of the death rattles are going away, right? So maybe pure attack weapons are get better.
Okay.
Meh.
Yeah. I didn't think about it in terms of it just being like a pure counter to Harrison, except for the draw, obviously, but actually killing it, that's kind of cool. All right, let's see. The 6 mana Things from Below, 5 attack, 5 health. The text is Taunt. Cost 1 less for each totem you summon this game. All right, so this is one of those. This card's obviously you're going to want to play a little bit later, so that's almost free potentially when you play it. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this? When do you think what turn do you think you'll end up being able to play this if you drew it from the start? JJ?
I think in average turn 4 point something.
No, okay, all right.
Yeah, it depends like what you build your deck around. If you have like a really like mid-rangey shaman, like back in the days, right? You want to have like the flame tongue value. You maybe go to totem over something else. Like I think you have like a really totem synergetic shaman. And when is this card actually good? You want to have a 5/5, so 4 mana would be decent, but not even that dramatically good, right? So you have to make the synergies worth in your deck really well, work really well. Like with Thunderbluff Valiant, we have this Totem Carver, right? Like I think as a free drop, this card is insane, man. So if you use like 3 times the hero power, which could of course happen if you make a really controlled shaman, it would be good. But this also has to happen till turn 4 or 3. I don't know. This card is kind of hard to evaluate. You have to make a deck around it first.
Yeah, Tuskar helps with it too, so you don't have to just hero power, but or totemic.
Oh, I forgot a taunt totally. I mean, the taunt, of course, gives it 4 mana. If you get a taunt, like 2 times hero power, and makes it good. So yeah, I didn't get a taunt effect. I kind of rate over it, but then it's of course like 2 mana for 2 times use. It's good. Then.
Right, Ray, what do you think?
So when people lose to Shaman after the new set comes out, which they will a lot, they're going to like lose the game to just being out card quality. Like the card quality in Shaman is so stupidly high, and assuming they don't nerf too many things. So the card that they're going to complain about losing to is like Master of Evolution, because somebody's going to gain control of the board, and then Master of Evolution is going to turn this Thing from Below guy into like a 7-drop and blow them out. But in reality, the Thing from Below is like better. Like it's the kind of card that'll win the game for you from a losing position by having a really powerful swing turn. I don't think it'll ever really get played on turn 4 or 5, because unless you have a terrible draw, because you don't want to be playing Flame Tongue Totem on turn 2. You don't want to be hero powering on turn 2. Totem Golem reduces the cost on this, which is a very big deal. But most of the time, Think from Below is going to be played in the like kind of later stages, like turn 7 roughly, and it's going to be played alongside efficient removal, like Hex or Lightning Storm or something, to swing the board really fast. And then if it doesn't die, either you blow them out with Master of Evolution, or just having, it's just good for those like fast swing turns, I guess. It's kind of like playing Solemn Vigil after quality clearing, except with the really big minion. So
Yeah.
the card is nuts. I think it's actually like between the two, I think this card is more important for Master of Evolution, although Master of Evolution is the card people are going to remember losing to a lot more.
I mean, does
the
this
plays,
card
man.
also work? Doesn't it also work with Totem Golem and Totemic? Like we're also
Yeah, of
some
course.
totems.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's like super bonkers, you just drop the
That's what I mean.
Totem Golem
It's
or
crazy.
Tusker.
Yeah.
When it's getting like super ham, like if this counts into it, or when we are going deep.
Yeah, so the Shaman deck seems a little too easy to build right now. Like, you just play 2 of all the broken cards, and just I don't know. We'll see how it works out, I guess, but it seems really good right now.
The new Paladin, like the card quality just is better than all the other
no,
classes.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Maybe
All
they nerf the Hex or something. I don't know.
Nerf
We'll
Hex?
see.
Okay.
Nerf Hex, okay.
They could. I mean, these cards are really good. So,
Imagine all your cards are just better to begin with, and then you also have like the only good spot removal, and they nerf BGH, so you're
And
the only class that
exactly.
can kill
That's
big
true.
minions.
oh my goodness.